All right, guys. So training models, very, very wide and ranging. And most of our consumers that come to the gym have a hard time, knowing what semi-private training is today, right? So I think running through the list will be important, and then we'll just go through and discuss pros and cons and who's for.
Yeah.
So to start, generally speaking, most people are going to begin their journey in fitness as a class-based model. So that's where people are showing up to a gym or a big gym, small, big, doesn't matter. But there's a class description laid out. You show up to that class. It's done at a beginning point and end point. You have private training where you're assigned a trainer. It's usually time-based. And the personalization is extremely high because you're working one-on-one. You have team training where you have a group of athletes who play the same sport and come in and execute a workout. Generally, again, time frame based and can have varying ages, but it is sport specific, and you're assigned a coach to execute and produce goals towards the team's aspirations. And then you have semi-private training model, which is close to home because that's what we employ. And that is a kind of combination depending on the strength of the room at any time. So it's personalized programming in a group setting. The group setting is random based off of who's in the gym at what time. So there's a lot of variability and chaos, controlled chaos in that model.
Yeah.
But it's a combination of personalization through a team of trainers in a group setting. So
right.
I'd say go around and let's start with the class-based training, give some pros and cons.
Yeah.
Move on.
So class-based, when everyone's doing the same workout.
Yep.
The way I see it, it's for people to kind of get out and move.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't periodization is really nothing. So you're not working from a start point like running a 4-4 to running a 4-0, things like this. There's nothing like that. It's just get in there, move, get it done, and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's just structured as in you know when you start, you know when you end, and then that's it. The con to me is the coaching, in that you're all doing the same movement, and the coach is really there to motivate and not necessarily to coach you individually. There's not a lot of individualization. So you might be doing a movement wrong, you might be getting hurt in the meantime, but the coach will not say anything because it kind of ruins the flow of the class. Mm-hmm. So it's really about the class, it's about the environment, it's not necessarily about the coaching or like the individualization of it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a pro is going to be pretty cheap, 20 to 15 to $30 for a class. Pretty standard around here. So that's what I got for class.
Yeah, no, I agree with all those. I'd say pro for sure is the community, or just like the gauged intensity based off of it is a 60-minute workout or a 30-minute workout, and people want to go to work and they want to do their workout and then they are done.
Mm-hmm.
Cost effective, another pro potentially depending on where you're at. And then con, I would say, yeah, like you said, the coaching side of it. Unfortunately, if you're getting hurt or you're not one to interrupt a class and speak up, or you're not really a outgoing type of person, maybe you don't really know what you're doing, you're new to a class in a room full of people who have done it a bunch of times, and it's an advanced class or it's a movement that you've never done, you kind of have to just suck it up, unfortunately, in most cases, generally. But I mean, it is in my opinion, about 60% of the people would fit really well in this. Just special needs populations probably shouldn't do that one, I would say.
Yeah.
Right.
So summary, pros, it is a group-based fitness class, so you get to be around a group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's cost effective. Cons being that you're not in control of what's laid out for you.
Right.
So there's no personalization, and it's hard to get individual attention because you're generally around a lot of people you don't know, and you don't get the intimate relationship with the coach. So you're kind of being sacrificed personalization for cost effective and group-based training. Another pro for some people will be time restriction. It could be a con for some, so that's kind of the middle ground.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Cool.
One point I forgot on that one too is like the friendship side of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely important.
Yep.
Yes.
Certain populations, certain like exercise specialties have done a really good job at, like I know a lot of people that have built like really good friendships and relationships with people they've met in classes. And that's like one of those things, kind of shut-ins or introvert people should do group classes because you'll meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
You might get really good friends. You might just have somebody to hang out with.
Suffering as a group.
If you're going to a new city, you just moved,
Mm-hmm.
like I would probably join a CrossFit class or yoga or whatever it is, just to meet people.
Okay.
Right.
So who should join class-based training?
If your decision is whether to sit on the couch or go move, it's going to get you in. You're going to do it Okay, everyone's doing the same thing. That camaraderie piece is like, okay, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna get out there and do it. No matter what it looks like, you're gonna do a movement and probably feel good at the end of it. So
Yeah.
if it's whether you're sitting or going out and doing this, you go do that. It's the easiest. There's no really barrier to entry. You walk in the room, they tell you what to do.
I would say if you're a lower maintenance individual, if you're
Yeah.
okay with kind of just like, hey, you tell me what to do. I want to hang out, have a good time, get a good workout, get a sweat, move, without really like, I don't have an ailing back injury or previous history. I'm not training for anything specifically. I'm just kind of training for that class or just general fitness. I
Mhm.
would say this is 100% your option probably.
Okay. So typically for people who aren't looking for personalization, that want a group setting and they want a time restriction to their training. So they know what they're walking into, they know that it's going to be in a group and that they don't have to worry about setting anything up. It's just going to be laid out for them and everybody's going to endure that same workout.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Oh, yeah.
for a majority of people that aren't certain what they want, it's a great place to start exploring.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
cool. Let's move on to the personal training. So pros and cons.
Personal training, okay. So you're one-on-one, obviously. So the way I see it, you're getting the most amount of coaching.
Yeah.
You would think, and obviously this depends on your coach.
Yeah.
But you're one-on-one, so someone is with you all the time. That could be a pro or a con. So we'll talk about who it's for, but if you love attention and you want someone and that motivates you, then that's what you're getting. The cost, obviously probably a con on this part, is $60 to $100 an hour.
Yep.
But really the biggest pro to me is that you have someone watching you and attention is all on you for that full
Yep.
hour.
Yep.
So you have someone watching your every movement and coaching you, hopefully,
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing, so nothing would go unnoticed.
Yeah.
So it's very personalized.
Yeah, higher needs for sure as a pro. Like if you have any issues, that's a huge spot where you should probably invest your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Con would be the money. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that, but another pro I think is it's really adaptable. You can get what you want if you tell that person. Just me having done some of it in my past, if you tell that person like I want this kind of workout today,
Yeah.
most of the time you're just going to get what you want if
Yeah.
you are willing to speak up in that.
Yeah.
If you're
Right.
the other kind of person and you just want to be told what to do and you want somebody to like structure your stuff and be there for you, you're going to get that too. And then finally like just telling you exactly what to do, how to do it, and kind of mindless work almost,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you get that I can like have an hour-long conversation with
Yeah.
you and not really have to worry about the workout too. So it's
Yeah.
it's extremely adaptable.
Yeah.
I would say.
So pros, assign a coach, so you know that you're going to have the resource available to you to customize to you. Another pro is that it's programmed for you, so individualization is high. Con for most people is the time restriction. So if you want to train more per week and you can't afford it, or if you want to go past an hour, you're paying for that hour. They can't talk to you after that hour.
Yeah.
So
Right.
your accessibility to that coach is restricted purely to what you're paying for.
Right.
So you're locked into an hour. So who should do personal training?
Someone who either needs that attention in that you have injuries, you're at risk, you
Have a deadline.
things like
Yeah.
this, or you want the attention. It motivates you to have eyes on you. It motivates you to have better form when someone's watching you. Someone that likes that or think that makes them push themselves a little bit more, or makes them more accountable or reliable.
High
things
level
like this.
accountability.
Right.
Yeah.
Accountability is huge for that part of it. Who should do it? If you need someone texting you, calling you, saying, "Hey, I'll see you at 2:00," like
Yeah.
you need to be there because you're paying $100 to be there.
Yeah.
Then that's for you.
Yeah, 100%. I won't elaborate more, but you just
Yeah.
have to have a little bit of money to do it.
Yeah.
Which is
Right.
good and bad.
Right.
So for people who have the ability to afford, and I think that's based off your outcomes. You know, if you don't have a ton of money and you want to get consistency, it's probably going to be a poor choice. But if you have the disposable income, you're going to have the highest level amount of coaching interaction, and you're able to know who's assigned to you. So when you find somebody you like, you know you can lock that person up. So if
Right.
those are needs for you and you have the income to do it, personal training is a great option.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just do your homework on them.
Right.
Yeah. Play with it.
So team training, you know, again, this is sport specific, and this usually deals with, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a organized sport. It could be a cycling team or a frisbee disc team, but it's everybody on the same team working towards a goal, showing up at the same time and executing on a workout as a group. So pros and cons.
Start it up, Mike.
Yeah.
We'll reverse the circle.
Oh, sure. Pros in intensity and pace. Like you're usually structured in a time that either they're paying for or care hours or whatever it is. Hour and a half, you're going to be done. Most situations you can stick around after and get extra work if you want.
Yeah.
So the intensity is there because you're either challenging each other, competing against each other, or you're just kind of like, for lack of a better term, suffering together.
Yeah.
And you all have the same goal. You're on the same team. You're
Yeah.
doing the same thing. So you all kind of get it.
Yeah.
And then the camaraderie side of it, like I personally love this model because I want to train with people who are doing the same thing I can compete with or against. And then you start together, you finish together.
Yeah.
Cons on it is depending on your situation, the size of the group compared to the coach-athlete relationship or ratio.
Yep.
It could be poor quality. I guess another pro would be just like it's concise. You're not going to get a lot of content in that workout, but what you do hopefully is really high quality. But there are some where we're restricted, coaches' hands are kind of tied. So the biggest con in that is just making sure that it doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah.
The technique and like the specific to the individual is not always going to be there.
Yeah.
It is within reason, but not 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And the big thing that I see is the cost effectiveness of it too. I mean, you're looking at $10 to $20 per
Right.
session because there's
Huge.
hopefully you have a big team coming to train. But then the pro and a con would be the coaching. If you have a great coach who's going to individualize for the, specifically for different kids throughout the team, then awesome. That could be very beneficial. If you have a team of 30 that's all doing the same lift and the coach just blowing a whistle saying start and stop, this could be detrimental almost to a team. But I see it as it's going to be sport specific because you're training as a team for something, and the camaraderie is there. So like if you're looking for a team to be more together, if you're looking for more of a brotherhood, you can see how lifts pay off on the field, and that motivates people differently. So in that regard, a huge benefit. But the coaching has to be there if you're going to have a good team training session.
Okay. So pros, developing team goals. Con is you sacrifice individual goals for the team in your training. Another pro is the intensity can be manufactured very high in a group setting. So kind of like a class structure, you're going through it as a group so you can endure more typically. And then another con can be, depending on the coach, you may not be being treated as an individual. So that could be a middle ground. I don't think it's a pro or a con, it's just like anything. Coaching matters.
Be prepared for it.
Right.
Yeah. So who should do team training and when is the right time?
If you're in high school and you want to play at the next level, or even in college, I guess, but you kind of have to in most cases, I would say you need to be doing team training because that's what you're going to get in collegiate strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
You need to be prepared for that. Like a lot of people, if you're doing personal training and you go to a team setting and you're used to being catered to and you're not, you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
So you need to do that. You need to understand the ins and outs of it, the pros and cons that we talked about. You need to experience that pace, that intensity, that like hands-on, hands-off type of relationship with your coach.
Yep.
And just the dynamic of team training. So for sure, if you're trying to play college athletics, you need to be doing that.
Yep.
And then if you want to suffer with, against, and challenge and compete with and against people that are doing the same thing with you and you have the same goal, you should be doing it.
Yep. If you're trying to get that brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you're looking for, if you're getting that camaraderie and you're the intensity guy, it's going to be in your alley. And you're looking for something that's cost effective, it's perfect.
Yeah, I think it's for people who are looking to develop team goals as a priority in their off season.
Yep.
I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. I think it's dependent on the outcome of the team as a whole and what you're after for. And if you think individually you can help your team more by developing yourself, I don't think team training would be the best for you. But if you're looking for building team camaraderie and there's a weakness in how the team plays as a group, it's a great setting for. So if your team goals need to be improved, let's say that you're a low result team and you're looking to build a high result for the next year, or you're trying to keep the standard high, team training is a great option.
Yeah.
So lastly, semi-private training. Again, this is what we do. So there's obviously a lot of favors in pros, so we'll do our best to remain unbiased. But in terms of developing a pros and cons list, let's just run through those as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
Start with the pros and cons.
Yeah, I'll start on this one. So the reason we chose semi-private training is because I think it is a mix of everything. When you start in semi-private training, you're going to be addressed as an individual. The con on that side is that since you're working in a group setting but receiving individual attention, at the beginning it can seem very slow paced.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have a coach assigned to you, but they want to treat you as an individual. So you may, if you have a busy weight room, only get through a third of the content that you want to get through with that person. But once they're trained up and they know what they're doing, and the coaching interactions can be minimal without fear of injury or risking that client, and they're up to speed, the scaling of the intensity can be very high, hard lifts. So I'd say pro for that is individualized attention, but con is that it takes a while to get there. You need patience. Another pro for me is that it is, how do you say this? Let's say that it's universally acceptable for most backgrounds. So you can be somebody who's working for a sport or somebody who's general population, and the variety of people in that weight room is going to be fun for some people. So like for us, I think it's great for people who are looking for a weight room atmosphere that promotes each other as a group, but allows for individualization. So I think for me that's a pro because community is a big part of semi-private training. Everybody's sharing the coaches. Everybody has to nurture each other. So working as a team, you have to create problem-solving skills for those people to find solutions in that group setting. Con for some people is going to be that they don't have an assigned coach and that they have to work in a crazy weight room sometimes. So I think the pros and the cons in semi-private are dependent on the number of athletes training at any specific time or people training at any specific time.
Yeah, I think that's huge that the pros and cons are what does the coaching staff look like? What are the athlete? What are the members trained in to know how to work with this environment? A huge pro that I see that you were just saying is community is that it is essentially a team. When you get to, I mean, everyone at our gym really gets to know each other, and then they're really not competing against each other, but looking at how hard one person works. Oh, I know them personally. I want to work that hard too. So it is kind of like a team. You get that camaraderie too. Another pro is that you get coaching when you want it. So we tell people you get one-on-one whenever you want it. So you can come in and get one-on-one session in that day. You could come get 20. Like you literally just come grab us and say, hey, I need coaching. Boom, you got it. Instead of like someone being on you all the time, which some people might not want. And then the con being, if it is a con for you, the variability that if you come into our weight room, you don't know if there's going to be 30 people or 3 people in there at that time. So you could either get a ton of one-on-one coaching and like more relationship building, talking about things more than lifting, or it could be something where we can only get to you on your big lifts. We can only get to you when you really need it. Other than that, we're going to be working with everyone else in the room. So, I mean, everything I think in semi-private could be looked at as a pro or con depending on like your perspective of it.
Yeah, it's a really good way to say it. Yeah, I'd say the biggest pro in my opinion is the freedom. Like you have full control. You have a really good relationship with 3 different people. And on that note, the cost, like some people see the cost initially and they think, whoa, that's really expensive. But you think about what you're getting. You can come 6 out of 7 days of the week. You can come 1 day a week. You can pick what you want to do. You have 3 different coaches, 3 different coaching styles. You have a program that's built based off an assessment. I think our new client manual is phenomenal, and people either like that or hate that. But once you actually get through like the first couple of days of one-on-ones and you kind of get trained in, and once you kind of understand like, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and this is how I got to hold myself up, it's the best way. Obviously we're a little biased in that in that sense, but one of the cons is like if you're just not that kind of a person where you're either really high maintenance or you're really low maintenance, you don't either want a lot or not a lot, you're going to either have to sacrifice it or you're probably going to get weeded out, unfortunately. But that's nothing personal. So I think I had one more, but I forgot it. But yeah, I mean, you guys touched on it. It's freedom, in my opinion.
So pros, individualization can be a con on this side, but I'd say it's a problem is that the randomization, you don't know what you're walking into. So you could be in a group setting or you could be in a small weight room setting. So depending on what your patience level is, it can be a pro or con. And then cost effective, and then content based versus time based is
that was the other one.
Is nice. So who should do semi-private training?
If you are willing to adapt, it's kind of a different thing. Like you don't think of that as going to like the weight room. You don't think of semi-private until you actually experience it. So if you're willing to get into that experience and meet people that you usually wouldn't meet in real life, you know what I mean? You're going to meet a 60-year-old, you're going to meet a 10-year-old, you're going to be a role model to some, you're going to look up to others. So in that regard, it's goofy. Like you have to kind of assume different roles depending on who's in the weight room.
Yeah.
So it's really like it's just adaptability. If you're willing to adapt, and honestly, we think that promotes growth, which is why we do it.
Yeah.
Then it's for you if you're willing to kind of go with the flow, and obviously track your progress, get stronger, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But really, adaptability is, I think, who you have to be.
Yeah, I think if you're just not on an extreme end, either high or low maintenance, or you don't have like a really big issue in terms of like a previous history or like a disease or anything like that, where you actually need specific attention, I think everybody should try it, just because you get the community, you get the one-on-one, you get the group setting, you pretty much get all of it in just small little bits, or as much as you want it.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of built for everybody except on either extreme end.
I think that's a great way to put it. I think it's for everybody.
Yeah.
But you can't be a control freak, because the very nature of semi-private training
It's
is
the
that
adaptable part, for sure.
it's a high level of adaptability from the coaches and the members.
Yeah.
But I think that's what builds the community. So I think if somebody's looking for a structure that allows them to get to know a lot of different people in a lot of different settings and still have your own goals in a group setting.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of the personal training with the class-based training in terms of camaraderie and teammanship.
Absolutely.
But you need a high level of patience, and you need to understand the game plan in the long term,
Yeah.
Right.
because it is a long-term process.